I thank you for your kind attention. It's quite a pleasure for me to be here this evening. I'm deeply honored by your attention and by the opportunity to speak about my writing. You know, when people hear the name Edgar Poe, they think of passages like this. I thought the heart must burst, and now the old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I leaped into the room, and the poor old man, I cut off his head, the arms, the legs. That's what they think of when they hear the name Edgar Poe. But I understand that some of you were involved with a workshop earlier today about the women in my life who inspired me beyond my means of expression. One of those women was named Nancy Richmond. I called her Annie. I met her after my wife died. Her husband, unfortunately, was living, but he did tolerate my attention. And one of those evenings, we were having an amazing conversation. And we talked about love being the most powerful force in the universe. And I explained to her that I'm not afraid to die, because I know that I will experience love in its pure form. And I wrote a poem for her. I've always called her Annie, and so I wrote For Annie. Thank heaven the crisis, the danger is past, and the lingering illness is over at last, and the fever called living is conquered at last. Sadly, I know I am shorn of my strength, and no muscle I move as I lie at full length. But no matter, I feel I am better at length. And so I rest composedly now in my bed. The moaning and groaning, the sighing and sobbing are quieted now with that horrible throbbing at heart. Oh, that horrible, horrible throbbing. The sickness, the nausea, the pitiless pain have ceased with the fever that maddened my brain, with the fever called living that burned in my brain. But oh, of all tortures, that torture the worst has abated. The terrible torture of thirst, for the naphthaline river of passion accursed. I have drank of a water that quenches all thirst, of a water that flows with a lullaby sound, from a spring but a very few feet underground, from a cavern not very far down underground. And let it never be foolishly said that my room, it is gloomy and narrow, my bed. For man never slept in a different bed, and to sleep you must slumber in just such a bed. My tantalized spirit here blandly reposes, forgetting or never regretting its roses, its old agitations of myrtles and roses. For now, while so quietly lying, it fancies a holier odor about it of pansies, a rosemary odor commingled with pansies, with rue and the beautiful Puritan pansies. And so it lies happily, bathing in many a dream of the truth and the beauty of Annie, drowned in a bath of the tresses of Annie. She tenderly kissed me, she fondly caressed, and then I fell gently to sleep at her breast, deeply to sleep from the heaven of her breast. When the light was extinguished, she covered me warm, and she prayed to the angels to shield me from harm, to the queen of the angels to keep me from harm. And I rest so composedly now in my bed, knowing her love, that you fancy me dead. And I lie so contentedly now in my bed, with her love at my breast, that you fancy me dead, that you shudder to look at me, thinking me dead. But my heart, it is brighter than all the many stars in the sky, for it sparkles with Annie. It glows with the light of the love of my Annie, with the thought of the light of the eyes of my Annie.